On the news is Oluchi Ojoba-Midele. The wife of Anambra State Governor, Mrs. Noye Soludo, has officially launched the fourth phase of restocking the Noye's Healthy Pap Banks, a community-driven nutritional intervention across the state's 21 local government areas. The event, which was held in Awka, marks a renewed commitment to combating child malnutrition through the Healthy Living with Noye Soludo initiative. Commending local health workers, particularly ward-level officers, for their dedication in distribution and record-keeping, Mrs. Soludo assured that the initiative will not rest until every child in the state in need has access to the nutritional supplement. Also speaking, the Anambra State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Afam Obidike, who serves as coordinator of the initiative, emphasized the product's nutritional value and specialized production methods. He explained that this fourth restocking phase represents the program's deepening roots as a sustainable local response to malnutrition. The Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUU, has called on the federal government to fulfill all of its outstanding agreements, including the End Academic Allowance and Revitalization Fund, or risk nationwide strike on campuses. The union also said it is ready to engage in constructive discussions for the full implementation of the agreement. The ASUU new president, Professor Chris Piwanu, who stated this in his media briefing in Abuja, said the union historical has been open to dialogue at its various levels to solve critical issues affecting Nigerian universities. According to him, little have been achieved due to partial implementation. As such, it may result to strike action because of persistent failure of the government to honor past agreements. Professor Piwano cited that the government agreed to mainstream the End Academic Allowance into salaries, with the creation of an irregular allowance as a budget line in the 2026 budget, after releasing 50 billion naira for the backlog and budgeting 29 billion naira for the payment of 2025 End Academic Allowances, and agreed to release 150 billion naira as a revitalization fund within 4 weeks from April 2025. He, however, lamented that ASUU members have been left in limbo waiting for the signing of an agreement 5 months after the agreement. About 20 suspects have been arrested for hacking the 2025 computer-based test examinations conducted by the Joint Admission and Matriculation Board (JAMB). The suspects were arrested by operatives of the Department of State Services (DSS) and the Nigerian Police Force in Abuja. The culprits were suspected to be part of a syndicate believed to have over 100 persons who specialize in hacking the computer servers of examination bodies like JAMB and NECO. The suspects, who own private schools and colleges and make huge sums of money from their special centers, confess to sabotaging the CBT system in order to discredit JAMB and discourage students from using CBT for future examinations to be conducted by NECO and WAEC. The entire hacking process, according to the confession, was to influence high scores for special candidates who paid between 700,000 and 2 million naira. The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has announced the creation of an artificial intelligence (AI) division under the ICT department. The commission made this known in a statement signed by its National Commissioner and Chairman Information and Voter Education Committee, Sam Olumekun, on Thursday. According to Olumekun, the approval for the creation of the new division is to continue to harness the positive aspects of AI and to mitigate its negative impact on elections. He said it will strengthen electoral credibility through predictive analytics, automation, and intelligence safeguards. The electoral body, however, disclosed that it attended several conferences with colleagues around the continent on the impact of AI on elections. The federal government has concluded plans to sell an estate linked to a former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, to low and middle-income Nigerians. The property, comprising 753 housing units, was recovered by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission in December 2024, following a final for future order by Justice Jude Onwewuzie of the Federal Capital Territory High Court in Abuja. The EFCC said duplexes and other apartment types, which covers over 150,000 square meters, in the largest single asset recovery since the agency's inception in 2003. The EFCC chairman Ola Olukoyede on Tuesday, May 20, 2025, officially handed over the housing units to the Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Ahmed Dangiwa. However, the Director of Press and Public Relations at the Ministry of Housing, Badamasi Haiba, said the government, in line with President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda, would ensure that ordinary Nigerians benefited from the housing. He noted that the estate was still under construction and the ministry would first conduct structural and integrity assessment before deciding on the modalities of sales and allocation. On crime news, 12 Philippine nationals have been convicted and sentenced to 1 year in prison by a federal high court in Lagos for cybercrime-related offenses. Justice Chukwujeku Aneke and Yelim Bogoro delivered the judgment on Friday in Lagos, convicting a total of 18 foreign nationals, including 12 Filipinos and 6 others, on charges including cybercrime, fraud, impersonation, and attempts to destabilize Nigeria's constitutional order. In a statement by the spokesperson for the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Dele Oyewale, the convicts changed their pleas from not guilty to guilty under a plea bargain agreement reached with the commission. In addition to their sentences, the court imposed a fine of 1 million naira on each convict and also ordered their deportation within 7 days of completing their prison terms and paying the fines. The court further directed the final forfeiture of all mobile phones, laptops, and routers used in committing the crimes to the federal government of Nigeria. The Doma Area Traditional Council of Benue State has called on the state government to appeal to Fulani herdsmen to vacate all farmlands in the state to enable farmers resume farming activities in a communique signed and issued at the Ochidoma Palace after an emergency meeting of the traditional rulers by the Secretary of the Council at Degbe Sunday. The monarchs urged the government to review land policies and promote equitable access that would ensure sustainable and beneficial use of land resources for both farming and herding activities. The monarchs urged all residents and stakeholders to remain vigilant, cooperate with security agencies, and promptly report any suspicious activities to support peace efforts and prevent further violence. They also called on the government to increase patrols, deploy additional security personnel to vulnerable areas, and conduct conflict resolution training to deter future violence. The International Federation of Women Lawyers, FIDA, has urged state and non-state actors to step up actions in challenging traditional, religious, and gender norms that promote violence against women and girls in communities. The national president of FIDA Nigeria, Eliana Martins, called on traditional leaders, religious leaders, and state actors to put in more efforts in working towards gender equality by leveraging community resources to foster gender justice. Mrs. Martins, represented by the FIDA chairperson in Ekiti State, Mrs. Ayobami Olohoye Richards, spoke in Ado Ekiti on Friday during the annual State Experiential Learning and Sharing Forum in Violence Against Women and Girls Prevention, organized by the association in collaboration with the Ford Foundation. She said the forum aims to evaluate what had been achieved, the lessons learned, and the challenges faced by beneficiaries, while working with local community and religious leaders to prevent gender-based violence. Also, FIDA Senior Manager Programs and Partnerships and Operations, Fikio Baro, who said that there were signs that the goal of eliminating gender-based violence in Ekiti State was achievable, emphasized the strengthening of traditional religious institutions and state institutions towards ensuring the prevention of GBV occurrences in the state. Pirates who abducted 13 passengers, including 8 students heading to sit for the West African Senior School Certificate Examination in Bile Degema, local government area of Rivers State, have demanded 100 million naira for their release. Recall that the pirates hijacked 2 passenger boats and abducted the occupants along the Port Harcourt-Bile waterways on May 6, 2025, and since the incident, the whereabouts of the victims have remained unknown. Speaking in Port Harcourt on Friday, an indigene of the area and immediate past youth president of Bile Kingdom, Dr. Saki Miller, said the abductors had now demanded a ransom of 100 million naira. Miller expressed concern over the safety and health conditions of the victims, also raising of the sum, urging security agents to secure the release of the abductees. When contacted, the spokesperson for the Rivers State Police Command, Grace Iringekoko, said efforts have been intensified to secure the release of the victims and to apprehend the perpetrators. On the foreign news, the United States of America is set to impose sanctions on Sudan after determining that its government used chemical weapons in 2024 during the army's conflict with the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, a charge the army denied. The measures against Sudan will include limits on U.S. exports and U.S. government lines of credit and will take effect around June 6 after Congress was notified on Thursday. State Department spokesperson Tammy Bruce said in a statement. The United States called on the government of Sudan to cease all chemical weapons use and uphold its obligation, Bruce said, referring to the Chemical Weapons Convention Treaty banning the use of such weapons. Bruce maintained that the United States remains fully committed to hold account those responsible for contributing to chemical weapons proliferation. However, Sudan rejected the move and described the allegation as false. At least 8 people have been injured in a drone and missile attack on Kyiv city, authorities said, just as Russia and Ukraine are in the middle of a major prisoner swap. The head of Kyiv Civil and Military Administration, Tymur Kachenko, reported fires and falling debris in several parts of the Ukrainian capital after journalists heard explosions overnight. The city's mayor Vitaly, who also confirmed the injured 8 persons on Telegram, lamented that the capital and the region are again under massive attack as air defense systems are continuously operating in Kyiv and its suburb. The Russian military, meanwhile, said Ukraine had targeted it with over 700 drones and missiles since Tuesday, 776 of which had been shot down. The attack on Kyiv comes hours after Russia and Ukraine completed the first stage of a prisoner exchange agreed at last weekend in Istanbul, which, if completed, will be the biggest swap since the start of the conflict. And to wrap it up on the news, on sports, Napoli club has secured the Serie A title in style with a dominant 2-0 home win over Cagliari on Friday with a goal from Scott and Romelu Lukaku. Napoli celebrated their second Italian crown in 3 years and 4th overall after a battle with Inter, whose 2-0 win at Como left them 1 point ahead of their rivals. Manager Antonio Conte, who said the victory represented another milestone in his career, securing the Serie A title with a third different club, having previously achieved the feat with Juventus and Inter. Meanwhile, Conte was absent from the touchline for the final match due to his suspension, but however, Napoli completed their task. To end the news, here are the major news headlines. The federal government has concluded plans to sell an estate linked to a former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, to low and middle-income Nigerians. And the United States of America is set to impose sanctions on Sudan after determining that its government used chemical weapons in 2024 during the army's conflict with the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, a charge the army denied. And Napoli club has secured the Serie A title in style with a dominant 2-0 home win over Cagliari on Friday with a goal from Scott and Lukaku. And that was the TV Sapienta News at 1. On behalf of the technical and editorial crew, I am Oluchi Ojobamidele. Thank you for choosing TV Sapientia. Bye for now.